Alright guys, welcome to the meeting today. First of all, I have to ask, Asmet won't be joining us. He has a work obligation, so it'll just be us, the three of us here. And first of all, are there any questions anyone had, any issues that they wanted to bring up before we start?
No issues from my side right now.
Okay. Above an A? Has everything been going well with you this week?
Yes. I don't have any issues to address right now. Maybe we can get started with the boards.
Okay. Let's start with the boards. We'll start with Vinays board first. So let me put the link in the chat. That's the repository, GSOC 2019. And if you go into that, again, to that repo, you go to the projects, Summer of Code project, and here are issues. So we have several issues that are already done. Python scripts for plugin, setting up environment, preparing slides. So we have the presentations done. And we're going to schedule times for paper presentations, but we'll get to that later in the meeting. So first of all, we'll go from done towards the left, towards in progress. In progress, we have a couple of issues. So the first one here is number 8. Set up and use deep learning for J. Where are we on that?
Yes, actually, I'm still, actually, I showed you the results of that implementation. Okay. So, once I get that model, once I get the results right, I can save that model and I can import that model into deep learning for J. Okay. So, I think that issue needs to be there as long as this project is there, because we'll be needing deep learning for J for the entire project. So using it will be useful.
Okay. Maybe we'll see if I can make this. Maybe I'll put a label on it. I'll put linked. If I can find that one. I didn't make that for this one. Okay, so we'll put I'm making a label right now, so we'll put labels, new label, linked issue, and that will be created. And so then we go back to the board. And we can give it a new status here, or I'll just put a label on it, linked issue. There we go. All right. And then we'll keep it there for the duration of the thing. Then set up digital notebook number 7. Is that in progress or done?
Yeah, it's done. Actually, last week I mentioned about an error, right? That it is continuously crashing whenever I started a Jupyter notebook. The kernel is getting continuously crashed. But then I don't know how it got to work. But then after 2 days, it is working properly now.
Okay. All right.
I think maybe restarting the system worked.
Yeah, sometimes there are system issues with it. And what's even worse, sometimes you get, depending on what you have in the notebook, sometimes you get issues on GitHub. But I think this is probably the best solution. I know Ujjwal and Asmet are using Colab, so it's a little bit different, but I think Jupyter should be fine. Did you push that to the repo? Did you push your notebook? I didn't notice.
Yeah, today I posted that. Actually, I showed you the results, the resulting image, right?
Yeah.
I pushed the corresponding notebook to the GitHub repo, and I've added it to do like I mentioned that there needs to be refactoring and some documentation. So I will have to do that now in this week.
Okay. All right. Number 10, implement unsupervised approach.
Yeah, that is the WNet implementation that we are seeing.
Okay.
Currently, I need to uh, take those images and try to increase the dataset and then retrain the model on the new dataset by end with more number of epochs and see how the results come. So that is the thing I need to do in this week, I think.
Okay. And then solid objective for feature analysis, number 9.
Yeah. My idea is that we will be having a video like this. I'll be posting the link now.
Okay. All right. Let me see. There we go. I'm pulling up the link. Okay, this one here.
Yeah, my idea for phase three is that when we have a video like this, then we should be able to track and segment those cells that are dividing over there. And I have seen some this use case, so I thought of using those, and I'll be sending the links for that implementations as well for the demos that people have made on such videos for segmentation on such videos.
Okay.
So my idea is that for the phase three of this project.
Okay. So we'll put that in done. Okay. So then we have number 11, segmenting bright field images. So where would you put that issue?
That is actually now if we settle for that, that is what we have to do in the phase three, right? So I think we need to bring that up again during the phase three.
Okay. Let's put a note in that. But you seem to be at least have a plan for phase 3 at this point. So, is it anything else? So, are there any issues that you'd like to put up on the board? Anything in the next week or two that you can think of that need to be like issuized?
Yeah, there's one issue that I'll be trying to solve this week. That is that in the WNet paper they mentioned a special loss function. It's a custom loss function. It's called soft cut normalization loss. So the results that I showed you, those were trained on a Euclidean loss. Like I put a Euclidean loss from the reconstructed image and the original image. So the output you see that came from the reconstruction loss. So in the paper they told that the soft normalization cut loss can be better, so much better, and they gave them mathematical formulas for that. So I have to convert that to code and try that on images. That is the issue. That I think that needs to be done in the tool and be put in the tool. Implement soft cut normalization loss.
There we go.
And the other thing I want to do this week is that I want to get started building the plugin.
Okay.
Start writing the Java code so that I can import this deep learning model into ImageJ plugin.
All right. All right. Let me assign them to you. Okay, so those I'll leave those in to do. So now you have a couple of issues. Any other issues you can think of?
No, nothing apart from these things.
Okay. We'll add another issue and we'll come back to this in a bit. So I'll put that in there. So yeah, I'll talk about this in a minute, the paper to review part. Okay, I'll assign that to you. Great. Okay, good job. I think you're coming along. We've been chatting in Slack, so that's good. We've been kind of working through things, and you've got, I think, a handle on the data. If you have any other issues, let me know. Let's see. Where's our other board? Now we move on to Ujwal and his project. So let me put the repository link in here in the chat. And if you open that up and you go to projects, you'll see the board, and we have, let's go from done and let's go to the left. So the issues we have finished are split Basilaria videos into frames, that's done. Work on a README file, that's kind of done, but that's still in progress. Manual mask creation, that's done. Define training set, create data set, and create digital notebook. Those have all been done. Now in progress, we have, and I know that Asmit isn't here today, and he mentioned that there was some progress done at his end this week. So let's go through these issues that are in progress. Working on technical detail under 22.
So yes, we have started converting our data frames into TF records, TensorFlow records, and it is like we have so many video frames, so it is taking a time to convert these records. Like we are doing thousands or 2,000s of images per day to convert them. Also, we are facing one problem, like we don't have much computational power, like and if we are doing it at Colab just restricts us around in 1 or 1.5 hours because we are using too much of its RAM and GPU. So we are doing it and we are constantly doing it, but we are facing these things like we don't have so much computational power,
Okay.
and we are trying to cover it up.
Let me make a note here. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a solution to that right now. I don't have access to I don't have access to an HPC or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, and that's ideally where you might do something like this, but I mean, it can be done on the, there are other tricks to optimize your processing speed, but I mean, you probably know about those. So
Yes, sir, we are trying to do this and we are going to complete this within this week. Yeah.
oh
Sure.
yeah, I know it's good. Yeah, I think I'm just throwing out ideas, but yeah, this is good. So I just want to make sure that we were So that's good. And then issue number 2, choose a segmentation procedure.
Yes, so we have chosen our segmentation procedure and we are working on to develop it more and more. We have taken the DPLAB D3 version as our final segmentation procedure. It is giving us very quite nice results and we are making TensorFlow records for it. And I think we can mark it as done. Choose a segmentation procedure.
Okay. So what was the segmentation procedure that you...
So we are using DeepLab V3 versions, like we are detecting where is the bacteria exactly present in the video, and then we are making XML records so that we have the like we have the maximum minimum pixel values that from which range it lies in the video frame, and we have this for all of the frames so we can calculate in each frame like where is bacteria exactly present in that frame.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. Number 12, model selection, is that sort of linked to number 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So various model selection is like we have all the scripts now. We are just working on converting our data to produce CSV files so that we can train our models. We have scripts ready for it.
Okay, that sounds good. So then the last one in progress is working on technical details of the dataset, number 22.
Yes, sir. We have created this issue because we have told you like we are converting XML files to CSV to train our models, and we have just recently completed it. So now we are converting our CSV files into TensorFlow records. After that,
So you would put that in done?
I think we can put that in progress because we are still converting CSV files to TF records.
Okay. All right. And then, so to do, we have create video resources. That's for me. Haven't done that. Well, we have the videos in that we're segmenting, but that's something that's still an open issue. That's not been done yet. Adding information about biology of bacillary. That's me. I've been working on that, but I'll put that in progress. That's for me though. Model evaluation, number 7. I think that's one step above model selection. So that's sort of your next step, as far as I know, or have you kind of made your model selection already in terms of...
Yes, so we have compared some models like already we have tried threshold, watershed, and different algorithms, and we have found that the deep lab is giving us best result. Ashmit is also studying a research paper for that, and he thinks that it might more be useful. So we are still working on it. But I think that we are currently focusing on converting CSV file to TF records because if we are going with the approach which Ashmit is learning about, so we think that we have to convert CSV to TF records as well in that approach also. So we are just creating our data set more and more intelligent, like something.
Okay. And then number 3, define features within and between frames. I think that's a little bit down the road, but have you been like... So right now you've got a data set and you're kind of figuring out the location of the bacillary. And this is every frame, so every frame would have the information.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have to work on it.
Okay. So then that's good. So we'll just leave that in to do. We'll talk about that later. So are there what kinds of issues do you envision for the next week or two?
So next week we have a main focus to convert our records, and we are trying to get more and more data set ready so that we can have the XML records And I think once we have the XML records of the position of Bacillarian frames, I think we can start working on defining the features between the frames.
Okay, so I'll just put convert records as an issue. You might be able to refine it later, or we'll probably refine it later.
Yes,
Assign
sir.
it to as minute visual. There you go. And then that's okay. So then that's to do that. Defining features within and between frames is already there. So it sounds like you guys are making pretty good progress. So, well, that's good. I'm glad to see that everyone's coming along and everything. And the next issue I'd like to talk about is the paper presentations. So we mentioned my other group is doing paper presentations starting this week. They've picked papers on pretty broadly related to their project, a lot of like cognitive science and neuroscience oriented stuff. So they're going to do each week. They're going to do a presentation. We, make the paper available at the beginning of the week. Then by the end of the week at the meeting, the person will present a, paper presentation of about 10 to 15 minutes. And so this presentation would be like, you'll take the paper and you'll, have a slide or two on the main idea. So what is the main idea of the paper? What's their method that they're introducing? I think in your case is because it'll probably be a machine learning paper. That beginning part will be, what is the main idea of this paper? What methods are they using or introducing? And then you would, next step would be to bring some graphs from the paper, put them into slides, and then describe the figures to the group. So you might have usually the figures are pretty complicated. They put out a figure that shows the performance of the algorithm or, some feature that they're, working on. What does this graph mean? That's what the main idea is there. Because it's not always apparent when you read the paper what the graphs mean. And then the last part of the presentation would be, what are the broader implications of this method? What could it be used for? Could I use it in my own work? Can I think of a reason why I might want to apply it to my data? It could be, OpenWorm. It could be anywhere in the world. So that's the idea behind the presentations. Like I said, about 10 to 15 minutes. And based on your responses, I got one paper already from Ojwal, and this is from Jeff Hinton's group, and this is ImageNet. So he's really interested in this paper. And I'll post the paper in Slack. Ojwal already posted it, but I'll post it for everyone in Slack. And Ojwal will read the paper through, and he'll go through and put this presentation together, and then we'll learn something from that. Even though we'll read the paper beforehand, he'll tell us why it's important. And so what we need to do for this is two things. First, we need to all have papers, and then I can schedule the presentations first, and then I need to have papers from you. So I only have a paper from Ujwal currently. Asmit and Vinays have not sent me anything yet, but you can send me something. It's anything that's interesting to you, probably within machine learning, but it doesn't have to be. So I think it's actually quite easy to schedule here. Since Ujwal is the first one to send a paper out, he'll get the first presentation slot. So our meeting times here, if we go in order of our meetings, And next week's going to be difficult because I'm going to be traveling at the end of the week. So we probably won't have a meeting on Friday. It will probably be Sunday. Are you guys available on Sunday?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that works. Yeah.
Okay. I'll put out a time when I'm ready to go. I'll have to do my other group on Sunday too because I'll be kind of coming back on Saturday. So, but that will be next week. Will be Sunday instead of Friday, and then the rest of our meetings will be Friday. Just so we're aware. But I think in terms of the scheduling, then this would be the 16th. And I think that would be Ujwal can go on the 16th. So you have a little over a week to put your slides together, and then you'd present to our group then. Then we'll have another meeting on the 21st. I know it's a little short, but it's just a weekly meeting. And I think, do you want to go on the 21st, Vinay?
Yeah, definitely. That's enough time for me to find something interesting.
Okay. And so then I think Esmet will go last on the 28th, and I'll let him know since he's not here. But so what I need from Vinay is I need a paper. Just select a paper, send it out, send it to me, and then I'll send it out, and then we'll present right at the meeting.
Yeah, I have a small doubt regarding that. Is it necessary to be restricted to paper? Because there are so many articles out there where people wrote which discuss new methods, more of a summary from papers itself, but I think those are a bit different. So I thought maybe that, yeah, those are actually related to machine learning only. So can we also present some articles?
Yeah, I mean that would be fine if it's a method. If but what do you mean by articles? Like,
Yeah, which propose a method, like what's the state of the art in the industry. So last week I've come across an article from Facebook blog. They discussed the ideas, like the methods, what they're following, so how they're solving the problem of offering the services to such huge numbers and all. So I thought that was interesting. So I
yeah,
thought if I could do present something like that.
yeah, that would be fine. And then your presentation would be like, okay, what are some of these methods in a little bit more detail. So I mean that would be perfectly good, yes. And then we could actually learn, some of the state of the art techniques. How because the blog post is usually not very deep, but they're good for like here's this method, here's this method. I mean whatever you can find out about it. I don't know what if the methods are like their proprietary work, but just you might have to do a little bit of research on it too to find out what they're talking about. But that would be very useful for us to learn more about that.
Yeah, sure.
So I have a
More.
What was that?
so I have a question like, do we have to present papers which are based on image classification, something like that? Because I'm very much interested. I'm working currently with my professors and doing research on natural language processing as well. And I think like I can explain these things very much easily. So just a question, right?
Yeah, we can talk about uh, natural language processing. That would be interesting too. I think it's we're kind of focusing on image processing here, but there are other things going on in the field, and especially like they're all connected. So like there's this idea of semantic uh, image classification, but semantic means a lot of different things to a lot of different people apparently. So But I mean, if you
Yes,
look in
sir.
the literature, but I think if you, yeah, that could be useful to understand how people are working on language processing as well. Um,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
okay. Vinay, you had something else to say, or was that?
Yeah, I was listening to Ujjwal when he was telling something about having less computing power. Maybe I can advise him to try Kaggle kernels once, because they're offering free GPUs as well for 12 hours of time. And when compared to Colab, I think it crashes less frequently, and the variables are saved when you don't make any changes for a few minutes. Because in Kaggle sometimes it gets disconnected often. For at least for me, it happened like that. So I thought of trying Kaggle kernels, and I very much like that environment. And I found out some increase in some decrease in training time. So I think Ujjwal and Asmith can try those as well to see how it works for them.
Okay. Could you
Yeah,
provide a
okay. Thank
link?
you.
Oh, could you provide a link in Slack for them, like in the either in DevoWorm or like as a, well, just in
Yeah,
DevoWorm, you can put it
yeah.
in there.
Yeah, sure. There's actually a good article. I'll find it out. Like it explains how one can get started by using Kaggle free GPU, or by upload how to upload data sets, and how to basically almost everything, summarizing the entire process. I'll find it out, and I'll post it in the Slack.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Thank you. All right. So, any other issues we need to talk about today, or?
Uh,
So, I have a doubt regarding the mail which we got from Richard, sir.
Oh yes.
Like, do we need to mail him back for the our dates in our Skype channels, or there is some other way? Like, I'm not still clear.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember what he asked you in the email, but I don't think. Um, if you want to meet with them privately, or if you want to meet with them in a one-on-one meeting, you can schedule something. You can send them your Skype ID if you want. We usually meet though in Google, in this platform, Google Meet. If we do our weekly DevoWorm meetings on Monday, I think he might have invited you to that. If that's the case, we would just meet here. We usually don't go into Skype. But if you want to make your Skype address available, sometimes we have to change over to Skype because this environment isn't, it isn't always crystal clear, and we've had that problem a couple times. But um, I think with, you know, I think he'll email you some stuff. He wanted to share some papers, I know, and if you want to meet with him one on one, then you can, send him your Skype ID. If you're not, if you just want to do the weekly meetings, then we'll just do the weekly meetings, and if we run into problems, you can give us your Skype ID. So I mean, you don't have to. I don't think you have to respond to his email unless you have some specific questions. I think he just likes to email people he collaborates with to kind of give them an introduction to his work. I know he sent you a link to his papers, so he usually does that for people. He sends you a link to his page. He has a lot of. He's published probably over 200 papers in his career, so he's done a lot of different things. Um, so I mean, again, if you don't have any, if you don't have any specific questions for him, that's probably okay. Um, but I think he just wanted to get you familiarized with his work.
Okay, sir. Then we think that we are fine with weekly meetings, I guess, for now.
Okay. Vinay, are you okay?
yes, I'm okay with that. Yeah, cool.
Okay. Well, very good. I hope you guys have a good week. I'll see you on Slack, and then I'll find a time for our Sunday meeting because I will not be here. I will not be available Friday at a regular time. So I'll schedule that pretty soon. And then Ujwal will be presenting on that day, his paper. And I'll send the paper out to everyone in the Slack channel. Okay. Well,
Okay,
thank you. Okay. Thank you for attending, and talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
thank you.